Yeah, but they're cute girls, so we're gonna see them again. It's like, what's going on? What are they doing? And then she leaves. Oh no. Oh. Hi, cute girl. Hi, other cute girl. What's that? And then they say, hi, cute girl. Hi, cute girl.
Even if I tried, even if I wanted to, and I can't change. Even if I tried, even if I wanted to, my love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm.
Love has no age limit.
We are neighbors and best friends.
We all have different religions, but we have universal love as well.
I love my sister.
Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Okay. It was worth it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. How many people are crying? I know.
Again.
Yeah.
I've already seen this before, like, still, I cry.
Yeah.
This made me smile. Well, smile and cry.
And smile and cry. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it just takes something as simple as that. You know, it's just one of those things that you go, wow. Okay. Oh, that was great. And thank you, Corky, and thank you for the guys that were
And
helping.
that's our talk for today.
Pretty much.
I was thinking of Pride, and we're starting a whole month of a lot of gay pride here in the San Francisco area and around the world. And a lot of times people say, well, why? What's it all about? Well, I was thinking about all the way back to when I was young and I was being raised, which was a long time ago. And at a time when the only thing that kept people down was the color of their skin or who they loved or their religion, in an area that I came from. And in this area, if you happen to be black or Asian or Mexican, you had to be out of town before sundown. And people say, what? Where was that? Los Angeles County, California. And so we here in California quite often look at other states as, oh, they're so bad or they're so wrong. But we had a lot of that going on. But also one of the things that was interesting, we had a thing called the Western Hotel that had a hitching post because people still rode horses into town. So that was in the 40s. And what happened is that as I grew up, I couldn't see what all of this was about. I couldn't understand it. And then I had to go out and pick the scab a bit, you know. If I heard that somebody was being prejudiced against, I was the one that stood up for them, no matter what was going on. And I always tease about when I was in high school, I dated a black man, and I think we were both dating just simply because we wanted to get everybody's goat. It wasn't the greatest romance in the world, but it sure said something, you know. And luckily for me, I wasn't just doing this, but I had some support from home. And my dad was the mayor of the town at the time, so there really was support, you know. But he kept saying, Dottie, I want you to always be proud of who you are. And that be proud of who you are was the best advice I think any parent can ever give a child. I never was a petite little thing, you know. I was always very, very big. Always, you know, carried, at least according to any coach I ever had that was coaching me anything, I was carrying about 40 pounds too much weight from the time I was, you know, first grade. But it was always a thing of, my father would say, you know, bigger is better. Isn't that more? Because he was only 6'5" and 400 pounds, not a real big guy. But that energy of you are best by being who you truly are. And having that instilled in you as you're growing up is one of the greatest gifts that any parent could ever give you. And my dad changed religions like some people change their underwear, I swear. You know, we started out Episcopalian, and then we went Methodist, and then during the Second World War, he was in a slip trench with a Catholic priest and became Catholic. And then they came home, and then they became Baha'is, and they got divorced, and my mother married a fellow who was Jewish. Yeah, and my grandfather was Mormon. And so it's like when
Your
people
brother was
say-
Buddhist. And
My brother was Buddhist, and when people say, well, how did you get so you accept everybody, I think I'm related to them, you know. Think about that. And I loved the thing that happened with my mother, and many of you heard the story because it's so typical of my mom, who people called Wow. When my brother was 19 and he'd been away on a vacation, and he came home, and he and my mother were painting their house. And my mother's out there, and they're painting, and they're painting along, and it's a nice warm day, and my brother Bart says, Mom, I'm in love. And my mother said, nothing. She just kept painting and looking at him, you know, like, what's this about? And he said, Mom, I'm in love with a man. And my mother just kind of looked at me and kept painting, and he said, Mom, did you hear what I just said? And she said, yes. And I want to tell you two very important things. One, love is always wonderful, no matter where you find it. And number two, you're dripping paint on my damn foot. That was it. You know, that's all she had to say about that. And that's, you know, and when you grow up with that understanding of no matter, you know, I think I've all told you the wonderful story of me going to school first day in first grade and going on the bars and coming home and telling Mom I went on the school bars. And it was so much fun, and you flip over and you go round and round and round, and I was going on and I was so excited. And she said, yeah, but I really wish you wouldn't. And I said, why not? She said, well, the boys can see your underwear. Oh. So next day I come home. You can also go backwards on the bar. You can flip over backwards, and you can do this, and you can do that. And she said, Dottie, what did I tell you? And I said, Mom, it's okay. I took off my underwear.
Yay! Solution. Problem solved.
She made me shorts that matched every outfit I had. Right? And at that point, she said she stopped trying to tell me what to do. It got worse all the time. And but there was, what would it take for a little girl? Hey, this is me, you know. It's that instinct that you have that I'm going to take care of myself as I get older. And I notice a lot of kids, the parents take it away from them. Who do you think you are? How many times have you heard a parent say to a kid, who do you think you are? And one time my brother said to me, well, who do you think you are? And I just looked at him and said, God. And my mother said, oh, we might have gone too far with that one. That energy, though, of finding out that you are the center of your universe. But imagine if you find out you're the center of your universe and that the world doesn't like you because of what we just saw. It could have been age, it could have been gender, it could have been race. That you're unliked, and yet you've got that energy that says, I am a child of God and I'm a wonderful person. What do? You start finding ways to make things change. And for me, that being able to change things is important. And that's what happened and brought about gay pride. And the Stonewall riots were in New York. And it was brought about by a bunch of people who were gay, lesbian, poor, a group of people that held out at a place called the Stonewall Inn, which was a bar. And it still is. And in fact, it's a national monument. But every night the police would come in and trash it and take people's names, throw them in a paddy wagon, take them down and arrest them. I mean, all of this went on. And there was no laws stopping it because it was okay, it was fair game. Very much like what happened in the South. If you were African American and you were out after midnight, you could get beat up for no reason, just because of the color of your skin. So we had this going on. And one night, they protested. And they started throwing things back and said, no, we're not going to take it anymore. It happened to be after a Judy Garland concert. Some people say that's why the rainbow became a symbol, somewhere over the rainbow. And other people said, no, it's for many other reasons that we chose the rainbow to become a symbol. But whatever it was a magnificent symbol to choose. And because with what happened at Stonewall, laws began changing for both civil rights of gender equality and racial equality. And that's when everything started to change and everything started to move and people got interested. People said, wait a minute, you can't be treated like that. And that's when we started picketing. In 1969, there was so much going on for everybody. When one of the things that my kids said, when somebody said, oh, your mom taught you nursery rhymes, she said, no, our mom taught us we shall overcome, and we picketed. And they said, that's how you spent part of your youth? Yeah. Yep. With bologna sandwiches. I don't know why bologna sandwiches become symbolic of marketing ourselves as picketers, but it was. But anyway, so when we look at that, when we look at people standing up and saying, hey, this is who I am. So the flag came out 10 years later almost, in 1978. A gentleman by the name of Gilbert Baker made a flag. And the flag had 8 colors. And the colors were pink, red, orange, yellow, green, turquoise, indigo, and violet. And they all had a reason. They all had what they stood for in the flag. It was sexuality was pink, life was red, healing orange, sunlight yellow, nature green, turquoise was magic, indigo was serenity, and violet was spirit. Okay, the 2 colors they dropped were the pink and the turquoise because it was very, very difficult to get the pink manufactured. It never came through as pink, it always came through as something else. So they dropped the pink, and then that left turquoise right in the middle, and it was always blocked by whatever sign they were putting it around, you know. So they decided to let go of that one. So now we have 6 colors on the rainbow flag. When you look at it as that rainbow that represents people from all over the world, I think it's one of the greatest things that came up as a symbol. And so when I looked at it, I started looking at all the other flags that have come since. And if you go online, you're going to be surprised. They have gay pride, leather pride, bisexual pride, asexual pride, lipstick lesbian pride, polyamorous pride, straight allies pride, and they have fat pride. You know, they have gender fluid pride. They have feather pride, they have military pride, they have pony pride. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And what is interesting about all of that is a way of identifying yourself and saying, this is who I am and I'm proud of it, by a flag. What a great way to say, this is who I am. And yeah, and so when you meet somebody, they look at you and go, that's who you are. But don't you think that some of us would have so many flags around that we wouldn't have anything else showing, you know? It'd be this whole gown made out of flags. But that pride of being who you want to be and letting people know who you are is incredible. So when you think about that, you know, how many times do you tell little kids, well, why don't you sit down and shut up? Have you heard that from parents?
Yes.
Yeah. Why don't you, and that I'm going to tell you who you are and what to do. Well, what happens when you don't become that? What happens when your parents say, you're not who I wanted you to be? Then what does that do to your self-esteem? Yes, it lowers your self-esteem. And I hear that all the time when people that come in to see me. Said, well, I never could do anything to please my folks. Well, I never realized that I can't remember anything I did that displeased my folks. You know, there was always a way to look at what was going on. So think about that with your kids. A lot of us have grown kids. And I've been having times when I think, well, maybe my son should, and I stop and say, no, that's who my son is. And when people come in and say, well, my kids can't do, I said, they are. Yeah, but they can't. Well, they are. They might not be doing it in your favor, but this is what they're doing. Because we get that pride of who we are. How many of you in here have pride of being a parent? Yeah. How many of you have pride in being yourself? Yay, yay. How many of you felt that that just came about when you got older? How many of you knew it when you were a little girl? Aha, I got one right here. Yeah?
I don't know, I've never been a little girl.
That's one of the things that really got my family confused. When my mother was, when we were being raised, and she'd say, when I was a little boy, and I said, Mom, you were a little boy? She said, how do you think I got this strong? And she told all of her kids and her grandkids that when she was a little boy, and this is what happened. And so, you know, sometimes it's how you identify yourself, Ronnie. And so when you think about what it is. So, but think of that. What defines you? What defines who you are? What are the 5 things that you are the most proud of in your life? How many of you are proud of getting to be this age? How many of you are proud of no longer being addicted to cigarettes, coffee, alcohol, drugs, whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many of you are so proud that you help charity? You help charitable things.
Yeah.
How many of you are really proud that you have friends?
Yeah.
Think about the things that you're proud of. Who made you do that?
Good.
You did. You did. You're the one that got in there and said, I want to have morals and values that I value. I don't care what your morals and values are. I want to have the ones that I value. Think about what those are. So when you think of a rainbow flag that's symbolic of people, like this, what is symbolic of you? How many of you feel that your long hair defines who you are, or your short hair, or your shaved head, or your glasses, or your purple hair? Yesterday a young lady was here, had the most bright turquoise hair. Wasn't that great? She's a hairdresser, can you tell? Yeah. But you think of, that defines her. She says, I never have to introduce myself twice. Yeah, she's got that hair. Yes, Ronnie.
I have the privilege of working at the Levi Stadium. And last year before last, there was for the month of October, they celebrated women who were going through radiation treatment and all that for breast cancer. This one woman walked in and she totally stopped everything that was going on. She was going through stages of radiation treatment, and she shaved her head. The most beautiful shaved head I've ever seen in my life. and then she had henna print put in her head.
Oh.
She was so beautiful that during the game and stuff, they would pan over and just shine her head on the jumbotrons, and if you've ever been at Levi Stadium, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
She was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and that's pride.
That's pride.
When you can do that and say, here I am. Yeah, it's one of those wonderful things. When I opened up the Wikipedia to see what it said about pride, because in the Bible, in the King James Bible, we have pride goeth before a fall. And that's what I thought it was, but it's not. It's a whole other thing that it has to say about pride. And when you look into it, it's more about what you do to other people in the Bible, what pride that you would do to other people, not how it makes you feel. And so I thought, that's interesting. Sometimes we forget what certain things do to somebody else, and not how does it make you feel. Because for me, pride is feeling a deep satisfaction in who I am. Not telling you that I'm better than you are, but feeling who I truly am. Sometimes it's also joyful to say, this is who I am. So as you listen to me today, and as I'm talking about pride, I want you to realize that it's only negative when you use that as a way to tell other people how they should act. Usually when you're acting, as long as you're not trying to tell somebody else how they should be, they don't really care that you feel really good about yourself. In fact, you ask people, what are your friends? Do your friends know who they are? And the majority of people say, yes, my friends know who I am. And think about, who are your friends? Do some of them have a wounded pride? Have you ever met anybody and all they could talk about is what they did when they were in high school? And after that, nobody really was responding, and so they felt kind of wounded. And others, some kind of have a procrastinating pride. One of these days, I'm going to take over the world. One of these days, have you heard people, that kind of pride where it's what I'm going to be in 5 years is what's really going to make a difference, instead of accepting who they are today.
Or when I lose 20 pounds.
When I lose 20 pounds, yeah, when I lose 20 pounds, I'm going to do whatever it is. And think about, and then there's that uncaring pride. And that's when we are really hurt, but we act like we aren't. Yeah, have you heard anybody do that and you know that they really are suffering, but they act like they don't care? And does that feel honest to you? No. Isn't it great when somebody comes in and says, I have just had a horrible day. And you go, tell me about it. What is it? What's going on? And you find out what's going on with them instead of always acting like nothing bothers them, where you absolutely cannot get a handle on who is this person. Because don't you all, when you meet somebody and you want to be friends, don't you want to understand them? And ask them, okay, who are you? Who are you in there underneath that shell? Who are you and what are you doing? And then we have the sulking pride. How many of you have ever seen people like that? Where, you know, the things that are going on are pretty difficult. But it makes us feel like nobody appreciates us. I want to be happy about I am, but you don't like me, so I'm never going to be happy and it's your fault.
Yes.
Have you ever run into people like that? Yeah. And that's what I call sulking pride. And then we have the pious pride. You know, some of those, you know. And it hampers our own self-view, doesn't it? Where I am so good. What happens when somebody tells you how good they are? Do you ever really believe it? No, they say, I am. It never really seems genuine. But if they are there and you can see them and watch them and you realize who they are, isn't that when it hits you? You know, this person is pretty darn good. I don't know why I haven't accepted that. And then there's quiet pride. And that's that pride you have in yourself and your accomplishments and who you truly are. And so what I'm talking about pride, and the reason I wanted to talk about that is because each one of you have things in life that you're proud of. Please don't be ashamed that you're proud of it. Let people know. I don't know how many of you have ever met my sister Sue, but she does glass work. And you'll say, Sue, what are you doing? She says, I'm doing the most beautiful glass work you've ever seen. I said, you are? She said, well, it might not be for everybody, but it sure is for me. Isn't that great pride? Yeah. And don't you want to, oh, what kind of glass work do you do? And how do you do it? And how long do you sit at the torch? And I mean, you get into, what is this all about? Who is this lady? And what is it that she does? And so think about, what is it that you're prideful for? There are so many things. How many of you still have the first dollar you ever made?
Oh, that is so
Didn't
long
that
ago.
used to be a pride thing years ago?
Yeah.
Where you hear people would brag about, I
I
still
have my first $2 bill.
first $2 bill. Well, yeah. But how many of you have your class ring? Or, you know, yeah. And I was telling somebody, yeah, I still have my class ring. And they said, yeah, I have mine too. I said, oh, where'd you go to school? And he said, MIT.
Yeah.
Oh, you're beat. You know, yeah, that's great. But wearing something that says, look, I'm really proud of who I am. And think more about it as you go through. And you're going to see more rainbow flags. They're going to start coming. I think they started the 1st of June flying one downtown San Jose. And when you look at it, don't just think to yourself, oh, that's because we've got some gay folks running around here. So look at it and say, wow, what it stands for is who I am. Those colors, the red for life. Yeah, that's me. The orange for healing. Yeah, that's me. Yellow for sunlight. And how about the green for nature? And the indigo for serenity or harmony. And the violet for spirit. That's who each one of us are in this room. We're not just one-dimensional person. We don't all read the same books or watch the same television or love the same people. But what's the difference is what we believe in within ourselves. And sometimes we sell ourselves so short. We feel our quality is so lousy that nobody wants us. Any of you ever gone through that? Nobody's ever going to want me. And what happens when you say that to yourself? Nobody ever wants you. Have you noticed that? Watch people when you look at somebody and they walk in and they say, hey, here I am. And somebody says, oh, they just think they're too good. And you go, they are good. Watch what people say. One of the things I tell women who say, I never meet the right men. I say, you meet a lot of men, but what are you looking for? And she said, well, I want somebody who loves me and appreciates me and takes care of me and is there for me. And I said, and when you meet somebody that says they're no good, what do? She said, oh, I know I can change them. Okay. Her pride is such that she doesn't care who the guy is, but she's going to change him to be what she wants. And what happens in that kind of scenario? It doesn't move forward. It doesn't go anywhere. You are not on this planet to change somebody to be who you want them to be. Okay? And any of you ever tried that in a relationship? How well did it work?
Been single for a long time.
You've been single for a long time, yeah. It's just, yeah, it's one of those things that if you stop and say, wait a minute, I can be proud of who I am, but I don't have to make the other people be exactly how I want them to be. Because isn't the diversity wonderful? Look at the flag again. If that flag was just black and white, it wouldn't be near as exciting, would it? And each one of those colors stands for something completely different. And each color stands on its own. If they were all mixed together, what would we have? Brown.
Brown.
Yeah, wouldn't be near as exciting as all these different colors. And each one of these colors says, I'm standing here by myself individually, and here I am. Look up and look at the wonderful, wonderful butterflies. And they're each a different color. If they were all gray, we'd have moths, wouldn't we? We wouldn't have a rainbow of butterflies. And I think that energy that is moving and bright and sparkling is so exciting. So, and also, Gloria, I think, is setting up, but she made all of these different colored panels here for the windows. So if you look in the back, it's a rainbow and it's all these different colors to celebrate. And I thought that was such a wonderful thing to do. She was in the warehouse with her little sewing machine sewing drapes for us so that we'd have the rainbow color here. But they also, these colors represent the different countries in the world, the different continents really. And so when you look at the colors and you go, oh, that's right, that represents other people, not just other genders. Okay, and you know why I'm going into you being proud of yourself is because you have it within you. Look at any little year-old. They are so proud of who they are. Aren't they? What happens? And then you look at, 10-year-olds that quite often are not as proud of themselves. And that's such a proud age. That is the most beautiful age. You're really moving. You can talk and you can run and you can play and you can write and you can probably push buttons on your computer, on the lights. But, yeah, somebody's visiting us saying yes. But I love that we have ages in our life and that's your double-digit birthday, to me, is the one that should always be really, really celebrated, because that's when you step into that place of knowing I can do anything. I can move forward and I can do anything. Yes, Jan?
I think that was Virginia reminding us that we're the light of the world.
I think that was Virginia reminding us we are the light of the world, and we need to take advantage of it, and we need to know that. So I want you today to look at how proud you are of yourself, what that means for you to be proud of who you truly are. There are so many reasons that you should feel pride. But there's also more reasons why you should show pride. Show pride to other people. Thank other people for being them, for being here. Thank other people for showing us their smiles, because that's what I think one of the most beautiful things you can do when you're feeling good about yourself. And it says, pride, like cunning, is made offensive only by the manner in which it discovers itself. Think about that. That you can be prideful and make it a nasty thing by thinking you're better than others, or you can be full of pride for yourself and let other people know how truly wonderful you are. And with that, we are going to ask the choir to sing again. Thank you.
David.